Sonia Livingston. Welcome to the Memoir Cafe. I'm your host for author interviews, super fast author interviews and readings. And today's guest is Yasmín Ramírez. She's here to talk about her forthcoming memoir. And I think I'll turn it over to her right now just to tell us a little bit about the memoir. Would you welcome, Yasmín? Tell us a little bit about what you've written.
Sure. So the memoir is called Ándale, Prieta, and it's very much about the El Paso, Mexico border, and it's just pretty much a love letter, not just to the city, but to my family and the culture in this area, just because it's a little bit unique than anywhere else. And it's also what I'm hoping it'll do is it'll sort of just progress the Latinx narrative a bit, in that you can still hang on to your culture without being like a first generation Latino or an immigrant story. So it's really just a big love letter, I think. That sums it up.
Yeah, that's a great description because I was saying earlier what I love so much about your book, other than your descriptions of people, and we're going to talk about that in a minute, but I just get such a good sense of the place, and place is so important. And I think there's certain American places that are very important, but that are not very well known. I wondered if you could really quickly just say, do you think that in part this is about, you say it's a love letter, is it also letting other people know what El Paso is like, people who've never been there?
Yes, it very much is. I didn't live in El Paso for a long time. And when in that time period, I lived in Dallas, Texas. And so I had to come up with a little map with my hand whenever I said I was from El Paso. I would have to do this because no one ever knew where it was. And then unfortunately, lately, people knew where it was, but for the wrong reasons, for very negative reasons. And there's these images that they have of the place, and really it's probably the friendliest, safest place I've ever been, I've ever lived. And so I really wanted to show that, and then also just the beauty of language. Right here, we can switch back and forth. I can go to the store and speak English to somebody, and they'll answer me in Spanish, and we have a whole conversation without like a skip. And I haven't ever found that anywhere else, and I missed it so much when I wasn't here.
Yeah, I think sometimes what motivates a lot of my favorite memoirs seem to be at least about correcting people's misperceptions. Like, you think you know this place, but you don't know it. Let me show you. And that's where I love that you call it a love letter. It really is a love letter. You write about real people, your family, and especially your grandma. And that's a thing when I, go around giving readings or whatever, whenever I talk to people about memoir, that's probably like the number one question that I hear is, how is it to write about your real family? They have so many versions of this question, but it boils down to like, what's it like? So I just wondered if you would very quickly speak to what your experiences was like writing about real people, your family.
I think it was really about honoring them and showing them and showing them as they are. Obviously, it's my lens. No one's perfect, no one's horrible all the time, and that's what I wanted to highlight, that they're just real people, and I worked really hard to make sure that they sounded like them, that they moved like them, and that was on my part just a lot of observing, right, and then remembering just speech patterns or sayings, but at the heart the whole time I just wanted to honor these people on the page, essentially.
Yeah, and you do that, and you say, you didn't sort of want to mythologize them, and you don't want to villainize them. And that's just right? Because people are good and bad, all of us. Even though I think that the two of us are all just mostly good, I think that right. But your grandmother really is a character. She sort of leaps right off the page, and so I know that's about you noticing, and that you've been noticing for a lifetime. You spent a lifetime noticing, and that really comes through your writer's eye. I wondered if you would just read a little bit for us from the memoir.
Sure. So I'm going to read just the first chapter that actually doesn't take place in El Paso, but it alludes a little bit to how it influenced my life outside. And just it gives a hint of my grandma, like you get to meet her. Okay. I spent 5 years selling lingerie at Nordstrom in the elite Highland Park neighborhood of Dallas. Though that season of my life is peppered with countless memories, I don't really remember the first time I helped a woman find the correct size prosthesis for her bra. But I've never forgotten the conversations I had with these women before we began each fitting, almost always the same. Every time I stepped into the black and white paisley printed fitting room to help them, they'd ask right away, "Can't your manager help me?" "I am the manager," I'd reply. Pinched eyebrows, pursed lips. I was in my mid-20s, a baby in the eyes of most 50-year-old women. What did I know about the scars that marked their bodies? They hesitated to take their blouses off. "Please sit down," I would invite them. "My grandmother had breast cancer," I would begin. "I grew up watching her adjust her prosthesis and mastectomy bras. I know what the scars look like. It won't shock me. I just want to make sure you're comfortable. If at any point you're not, I can step out or we can stop." They'd relax, and when they took off their blouses and allowed me to see the pink scars on their chests, I didn't blink. We talked about Ita as I measured around and across their naked torsos. How old was she when she got cancer? 40. I wasn't born yet, but my mom told me about it, how she changed after. Was it bilateral or unilateral? I'd slip a robe around them so they wouldn't have to sit in the fitting room facing the mirror naked from the waist up when I stepped out to get the flesh-colored prosthesis and mastectomy bras. They made me think of war veterans. Where did you serve? What unit? But instead, was it one breast or two? Uni. Ita had a jagged scar because it had happened long ago when surgeries weren't so sophisticated. I told them about the special bra shop, Margie's, in downtown El Paso, where I watched a woman fit Ita while I sat on the fitting room floor holding her purse. She'd always complained about the ugliness of the bras. They nodded, understanding, as I lined the fitting room with various nude bras they would never find at Victoria's Secret. "You don't have t-shirt bras?" The smooth molded cups would do nothing for them. "No, the seams in each of the bras give shape to both your real breast and the prosthesis. The seams even things out, and they'll only show a little bit under snug t-shirts." Oh. "There should be prettier lingerie for breast cancer survivors," I'd say. "Your grandma must be so glad she has you to fit her." The women would leave with a bag full of silicone or gel prosthesis and nude bras with pockets to hold their new breasts in shape. They would thank me. Some of them even hugged me. I didn't tell them I never got a chance to fit Ita.
Thank you. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
I remember reading that section, and it stood out to me how close you were to strangers and how what a unique position to be working in lingerie because you're so physically close. And I think because of the pandemic and us being so far away, and also as a culture, we're pretty far away from people. And so that feeling of closeness to those women, but then your grandma throughout it just carries. And as you were reading it, I remembered how powerful that was. It's beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
So I wondered if you would offer a writing prompt for would-be memoirists or writers.
So it's sort of a slash advice and prompt. So one of the things I found when I was writing my own memoir is how much music influenced my writing, and sort of put me in that space. And so my prompt slash advice to get anyone started is to think of maybe one memory that they keep circling back to, right? Because it always starts with a story that you circle back to, and maybe you're not sure why. And just pick a song maybe that you relate to that moment, and then you just start sketching it out. I think it really, really, really helps. If you're not, I love music, so I know a lot of people aren't like that, but still just look up songs that were popular at that time, and you'll be amazed how things just shake out that you forgot. And it's very visceral, and I think it helps so much.
Sure, no, that's a great one. Music really jars things. And when it's music from a time, a specific time, it can yank you back like no other thing, right? I think like food and music, they're things I love anyway, but they're great for memoir. Do you have a song that you can think of that's an example of a specific song that pulled you back?
I have Amor Eterno by Juan Gabriel, which is a very famous Mexican singer, and he actually is from Juarez, which is our border. And I had this very just I see it because it also happened. It was like a layered memory because it was repeated every Sunday. I would get up to go to church with my grandma, and she would turn on the radio, and Juan Gabriel was like always playing.
Yeah.
And so that song really took me back to like my childhood, being there. And it's a beautiful song if you've never heard it. I recommend checking it out.
I think I checked it out, but it's not sticking with me. So now, as you're saying that, I wish I could do an overlay right now, but I'm barely hitting record. So, but yeah, totally check it out. Thank you for that prompt. So, the last thing is that you are the first guest at the Memoir Cafe, and I'm so happy to begin with you, Yasmín, because I think the world of your writing and your story. But I want to every time ask my guests to show me their mug. So, what coffee mug did you bring with you?
I have this beautiful little calavera
Mhm.
that I cherish. Like I even don't use it as much because I'm afraid I'm going to break it.
I'm
But
honored you brought it to the Memoir Cafe.
yeah, I really really love it. My family didn't really grow up celebrating Dia de los Muertos,
Mhm.
but I think in this process and sort of thinking about death and how you want to feel about it, I think Dia de los Muertos really helps, like to think of it more as a celebration.
Yeah.
And then also, like, how can you not be happy drinking coffee out of this?
I'm happy just looking at it. And you can put anything in it. Okay, wait a minute. Let's do the clink.
Let's
Can
do
you
the
do a
clink.
clink?
Okay. Yes. There we
Ding.
go.
All right, but I
Clink.
want to be careful and not hurt yours.
Perfect.
I like that. I like that there are sugar skulls that you can actually eat. Like any holiday that offers sugar skulls is pretty good.
Yes.
Like you
Yeah.
can't go wrong. So thank you so much for joining me at the Memoir Cafe today. If you liked what you heard, and how could you not, please order. You can pre-order. Yasmín's book is not out for a while, but you can pre-order the book, and the link will be right below. You'll see it below. If you want to hit like and subscribe to this new channel, you'll be able to hear interviews in the future. Even if you can't pre-order the book, sometimes people can't because this past year has been hard on a lot of people. Ask your local library to get a copy of this book. That's sort of a free and easy way to help writers and the writing community. Thank you for joining us, and I look forward to seeing you again at the Memoir Cafe.
Thank you.